I stole $4,000 from my sister's bank account after I caught her hiding a sickening secret on public Venmo. My thumb hovered over the confirm fraud chargeback button as my phone vibrated violently with back-to-back calls from my mother. My sister was sobbing in the background, begging them to stop me from ruining her life, but all I could focus on was the sick, twisting knot of absolute hatred burning a hole in my stomach. It started on a miserable, rain-soaked Monday evening. I was sitting in my 2011 Honda Civic, the engine idling in the parking lot of the dental clinic where I work 40 hours a week managing billing. My heater was broken, blowing nothing but lukewarm, damp air into my face. I had just finished a 9-hour shift and was mentally preparing myself to drive to my second job, tutoring high school kids in math, just to keep my head above water. My savings account sat at exactly $4,600. It took me 2 years of skipped meals, cancelled vacations, and sheer exhaustion to save that money. It was my escape fund, my security blanket. Then, my phone lit up. The caller ID flashed my younger sister's name, Chloe. I almost didn't answer. Chloe and I were completely different species. While I was practically suffocating under the weight of adult responsibilities, Chloe lived in a luxury downtown high-rise, spending her days filming unboxing videos for her 3,000 Instagram followers and relying on the bank of mom and dad to float her lifestyle. But my parents had recently cut her off, claiming she needed to learn the value of $1. I swiped right to accept the call. I didn't even get the chance to say hello before the hysterical wailing pierced my eardrum. "They are putting my things in trash bags, Sky," she screamed, her voice cracking with a manufactured terror that chilled me to the bone. "The landlord is standing in the hallway right now. The eviction notice was for today. If I don't hand him $4,000 by tonight, I'm out on the street." My chest tightened. The image of my 22-year-old sister sitting on the wet pavement surrounded by garbage bags triggered a primal, protective instinct I couldn't ignore. "Chloe, breathe," I whispered, pressing the phone harder against my ear. "Are you serious? 4,000? How did you get that far behind?" "I don't know," she wailed, choking on her own spit. "The autopay failed months ago, and I didn't check." "He's calling the cops, Sky. Please, mom and dad aren't answering. I have nowhere to go. I'm begging you, please don't let them throw me out." I felt the heat rising in my neck. My vision went blurry with panic. I looked at the dashboard clock. It was 6:15 p.m. I closed my eyes, picturing the number in my banking app. $4,600. If I gave her 4,000, I would be reduced to nothing. One blown tire away from a financial crisis. But this was my sister. Blood was blood. "You don't leave your blood out in the rain." Okay, stop crying," I breathed out, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "I'm sending it. Tell him to back off. Just pay him right now. I love you, I love you, I love you," she sobbed, the relief washing over her voice in tidal waves. "I'll pay you back, I swear on my life." My fingers physically trembled as I opened the Venmo app. I typed in $4,000. The warning screen popped up, asking if I was sure I wanted to send this massive amount. I stared at the blue button for what felt like an eternity. My stomach violently churned. I pressed confirm. The notification chimed, and just like that, 2 years of my blood, sweat, and tears vanished into the digital ether. I spent Tuesday walking around in a complete daze. I ate plain instant ramen for lunch and dinner. I checked my bank account obsessively, staring at the pathetic $600 remaining balance. My chest felt hollow, but I kept repeating a silent mantra to myself. "You did the right thing. You saved her. That's what big sisters do." Chloe texted me a string of heart emojis that afternoon, thanking me for being her guardian angel. I felt a fleeting sense of peace. Then came Wednesday morning. I was standing in line at a local cafe with my co-worker, Mark. He had just covered the cost of my $6 vanilla latte because I left my wallet in my desk. "I'll Venmo you right now," I told him, pulling out my phone. "No rush," Mark smiled, grabbing our cups from the barista. I opened the Venmo app. I bypassed the payment screen and accidentally tapped the Friends feed icon. The app defaults to showing public transactions between your contacts. I began scrolling down to find Mark's name, but my thumb froze. Right at the top of the feed, stamped with a time marker of 12 hours ago, was Chloe's profile picture. The transaction wasn't to a property management company. It wasn't to a landlord. It was a payment from Chloe to an account named @Chateau-French's. The payment amount was hidden, as is standard on the feed, but the caption was sitting there in bright, bold, undeniable text. For my new French bulldog puppy. Dog face champagne glasses, can't wait to bring my baby home. All the air rushed out of my lungs. The coffee shop around me seemed to instantly mute. I stared at the screen, my eyes darting frantically over the words, trying to force my brain to interpret them differently. A puppy, a French bulldog. I knew exactly how much those dogs cost. They were thousands of dollars. Designer pets for people who wanted aesthetic accessories. I tapped on the at Chateau French's profile. It was a business account. It displayed their most recent transactions. Right there, perfectly visible under the business tab, was the exact amount Chloe had sent them. $3,500. My skin turned to ice. My hands started to shake so violently that I nearly dropped my phone onto the tiled floor. She didn't owe a landlord. There were no trash bags. There was no eviction notice. She had manufactured a tear-jerking, Oscar-worthy performance of absolute terror, manipulated my deepest familial insecurities, and drained my life savings, so she could buy a genetically modified dog for her Instagram grid. Wait, it gets worse. My eyes darted back to my feed. I scrolled down exactly 1 inch. Directly beneath the dog breeder transaction was another payment, made by Chloe just 5 minutes later. The recipient was at Bark Avenue Boutique, a luxury pet accessory store downtown. The caption, Louis Vuitton collar, and crystal bowls for my new prince. Crown paw prince. I tapped the business profile. The transaction amount was $500, $3,500, plus $500, $4,000, to the absolute penny. I felt the heat rising in my neck, but this time it wasn't panic. It was a pure, unadulterated, blinding rage. A ringing sound started in my ears, drowning out the smooth jazz playing over the cafe speakers. I walked out of the coffee shop without a word to mark, stepped into the freezing morning air, and dialed Chloe's number. It rang 3 times before she picked up. Hey bestie, she chirped. The hysterical, crying victim from Monday night was entirely gone. Her voice was light, airy, and dripping with absolute privilege. I leaned against the brick wall of the alleyway, gripping the phone tight enough to crack the screen. I decided to give her exactly 1 chance to confess. 1 single opportunity to show a shred of human decency. Hey, Chloe, I kept my tone deadly flat, fighting the tremor in my jaw. Just checking in. So the landlord backed off. Oh my god, yes, you literally saved my life, Sky, she cooed effortlessly. He took the money and left. I'm just sitting here in my apartment, so grateful for you. I'm looking at jobs right now, so I can start paying you back. She was lying through her teeth. She wasn't looking at jobs. She was probably sitting on her velvet sofa, picking out a filter for her upcoming puppy announcement. That's great, I whispered. So, the $4,000 went straight to the property manager. Every single penny, she promised, her voice dripping with fake sincerity. You are my hero, Sky. Anyway, I have to run. I have a meeting with a recruiter. Love you. She hung up. I slowly pulled the phone away from my ear. The betrayal felt physical, like a rusted knife twisting between my ribs. I had sacrificed my security, my peace of mind, and my financial safety net for a parasite. She looked at my 2 years of grueling labor and saw nothing but a slush fund for her luxury aesthetic. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just opened my banking app. I tapped the customer service number on the back of my debit card. The automated voice prompted me through a maze of menus until I finally mashed the 0 key enough times to reach a human being. Thank you for calling First National. This is Brenda. How can I help you today? Hi, Brenda, I said, my voice vibrating with a dark, unfamiliar power. I need to file an immediate fraud and deception chargeback on a recent Venmo transfer. The recipient used fraudulent pretenses to extract the funds under a false emergency. Brenda's tone shifted from customer service bubbly to strictly professional. I can certainly help you with that. Can you verify the amount and the date of the transaction? $4,000. Monday evening. As I walked Brenda through the situation, I didn't mince words. I explained the lie. I explained the immediate transactions to the breeder and the boutique. Because Venmo is linked directly to my bank account, and because the funds were extracted under documented false pretenses, a scam, regardless of the fact that it was my sister, the bank's fraud department was able to initiate a clawback. Since you are reporting this as a deceptive scam, we will place an immediate freeze on the transfer, Brenda explained, her keyboard clacking aggressively in the background. Venmo will be notified of the chargeback. The funds will be pulled back from the recipient's account pending the investigation. Be aware, this usually forces the recipient's Venmo balance into the negative, and any pending payments they made using those funds will bounce. That, I said, staring at my reflection in the dark glass of the coffee shop window, is exactly what I want. The provisional credit of $4,000 will appear in your account within 2 hours, Brenda confirmed. I hung up the phone. A slow, chilling smile spread across my face. I opened Venmo one last time. I navigated to Chloe's public transaction on the friends feed, the one bragging about her new Frenchie. I clicked the little comment bubble. My fingers flew across the keyboard. Hope the puppy likes living in a tent, because I just took my rent money back. Have fun explaining the bounced payment to the breeder, scammer. I hit send. It was public. Everyone we mutually knew on the app, our cousins, our friends, her influencer wannabe circle, could see it. I drove back to work, put my phone on, do not disturb, and spent the next 3 hours blissfully organizing dental spreadsheets. At exactly 1:15 p.m., I checked my bank app. The $4,000 provisional credit had cleared. My balance was whole again. I picked up my phone to see 84 missed calls and over 100 text messages. The nuclear fallout had officially begun. The first text was from Chloe, time-stamped at 12:30 p.m. Skylar, what did you do? Venmo just locked my account. The next one came at 12:45 p.m. The breeder just called me screaming. The payment bounced. He's giving the puppy to someone else. You ruined my life. By 1 p.m., my mother had entered the chat. Skylar Ann, pick up the phone right now. Your sister is having a panic attack. How could you cancel that payment? She promised them that money. Call me immediately. I unlocked my office door, stepped out into the quiet hallway, and called my mother. She answered on the first ring. You are a vile, vindictive monster, my mother shrieked through the speakerphone, not even pausing to take a breath. You ruined your sister's dream. That breeder is threatening to sue her for breach of contract. Do you have any idea how embarrassed she is? All of her friends saw your disgusting comment. She stole my rent money to buy a rat that breathes through its mouth, I hissed, leaning against the wall, utterly unfazed by her screaming. She was going to pay you back, my mother roared. She just wanted something to make her happy. You have money saved up. You don't even use it. You just sit on it while your sister struggles with her mental health. She lied about being evicted, Mom, I said, the coldness in my voice finally cutting through her hysteria. She told me she was being thrown on the street in trash bags. She scammed me. If a stranger did it, you'd call the cops. Because it's Chloe, you call it her mental health. She's your family, my mother sobbed defensively. You fix this right now. You send that money back to her, or so help me God. Sue her yourself, I whispered. I'm done. I hung up. I opened my contacts. I clicked on my mother's name and hit block caller. I scrolled down to my father. Blocked. I found Chloe's name. I read her last, desperate text calling me a jealous, pathetic loser. I smiled, tapped her profile, and hit block. I systematically erased them from my digital life in less than 60 seconds. By the end of the week, the family gossip mill had churned the story into a frenzy. A cousin texted me to say Chloe's Venmo account was permanently banned for fraudulent activity. The luxury boutique banned her from the premises after her $500 payment for the crystal dog bowls bounced at the register. She didn't get the puppy. She didn't get the aesthetic. All she got was a negative balance and a shattered reputation amongst her friends who saw exactly what kind of person she really is. I'm sitting in my car right now. The heater is still broken. I still have to drive to my second job in an hour. But my bank account is full, my conscience is clear, and for the first time in my entire life, I don't feel the suffocating weight of my family's entitlement dragging me down into the dirt. My parents are currently telling everyone who will listen that I am a treacherous, unhinged sister who destroyed a young girl's happiness out of pure spite. They say I should have just let her have the dog and worked out a payment plan. Am I the monster here, or did she get exactly what she deserved?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.